We're going to hear all of it, ain't we? Oh, we played well in the second half. Oh, we showed fight. Oh, Ben Davies played well. Less of that, man. Man. If you ain't watched the game, it was Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2. Now, all I kept hearing from the commentators is give Tottenham credit for coming out in the second half and pressing and giving Aston Villa a go and tear. This is people like Alan Shearer and whoever was in the commentary box. These are people that have played football or commentated on football for years. Why don't players and managers get criticised for not coming out and doing that in the first place? Especially our club. You know, I was sat there with my kids today and I said, you know what? I'm going to give Thomas Frank 1% of a chance if he does one thing. And they were like, what's that? If he just applies the team like he did against Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth beat us 3-2. The Vitality's been a tough place for a few teams this season and a couple of years before that. But it was pretty clear on another day we could have won that game. So what does Thomas Frank do against Aston Villa, who have rested Ollie Watkins, who have rested... I can't remember, there's someone else that they've rested. I can't even think who it is now. Kamara's come off early doors. That's it. Tielemans, they'd rested. So if Kamara stays on, why can't you go, right, we know what we did at Bournemouth, boys. Do that again. Because we did it in the second half when we're 2-0 down. But I'm supposed to believe that this is our manager. Now, again, whenever I say I want Thomas Frank out, I allude to the fact, that some of these players ain't good enough. Now, I can't lie. When Richarlison pulled out with a hamstring, I was like, this must be Christmas. Because Solanke's on the bench. I'm happy with that. What I was annoyed about is Kolo Muani coming on, because this guy don't care about Tottenham. I don't even think he even cares about his career. You know, it's just... I don't care what no one says. I know what I want from football. So I'm not going to be blindsided by all these commentators and Tottenham fans on Twitter going, oh, well, the second half is, prosperous for the next season. What? Why can't you do that? And name a time where Tottenham have come out out of the blocks from the off this season. I'll give you 2 games. PSG, Man City, and we didn't lose any of them. But I'm supposed to believe this manager's the manager for us here when he's seen us do that to arguably 2 of the best teams in Europe, but don't want to do it against Villa. Don't want to do it against Bournemouth. Don't want to do it against anybody at home. It don't matter who we are at home. We were beating Sunderland 1-0 and we all camped in our own half. What was it going to take for us to press? For Sunderland to go and score 2 and be 2-1, then we go, oh yeah, sweet. The geezer's clueless. Like, if I'm honest, I don't think Thomas Frank turned that second half around for us to be better. Do you know who did? Paulinha. He's somebody that had the balls to go over to the fans and speak to them at Bournemouth and go, you know what? No matter what he said, he would have been irrelevant to the fans. But he went over there and spoke to him. He weren't like Pedro Porro, the little dickhead, who went over there and started kicking off, and Van de Ven. No. Paulinho went over there to reason, took that all in, came into this game and showed that he cares about the fans. I don't really care if you don't care about Tottenham as an establishment. Don't really care about that. Care about the people that are paying your wages in terms of the fans. Because you can sit there and say the owners are. They're not. If the fans don't turn up, the owners ain't got no money to pay you. So João Paulinho understood that. Ben Davies. This is like Mr. Scapegoat. This is the guy that drives me mad. Last 2 games at home, if it weren't for Ben, we would have lost more. He had a brilliant game today, and he had one the other day. But why am I saying this? This guy's been playing for Tottenham as long as my son's been alive. But Ben Davies is showing people. So this is a mixture of Thomas Frank getting it wrong, but also the players not being good enough. Because Ben Davies, 34 years old, has had to come in and show some of you lot what time it is. Kevin Danso on the fringes. If we had Romero today, we would have lost more. Do I want Romero replaced by Danso? Think so. Danso, think so. Romero could come in and everyone goes on about him being a World Cup winner and, he's our captain, but Romero ain't consistent. Romero's got more talent than Danso, but Danso is more consistent. You know that you're going to get a 6 or a 7 out of Danso every week. He's not going to make mistakes, and if he gets rinsed by a quick forward, that's just Kevin. Romero's meant to be our captain. He's won the World Cup, but he plays like he's had like 4 lines of coke before the game. 4 lines and just thought, you know what, I'm going to do my thing. And then just does madness like, you know, getting pressed bar forward, chests it like he's Zidane and tries to twirl. And then when they're through on goal, starts shouting at everyone. Speaking of shouting at everyone, oh man, Vicario weren't really at fault of anything today. But that geezer just makes... I don't know who he's shouting at. Do you get what I'm saying? There's times where like it's like he's thought about shouting before diving. It's kind of like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to shout at you. Hold on, let me just focus on this shot for Morgan Rogers. We just got a load, like literally top to absolute bottom. We just got a load of dickheads. Literally, like I was sitting there with my kids, yeah, and saying, I have no faith in anybody at Tottenham anymore. Like I said on my previous video, if a top manager came in, yeah, and he got given the reins and said, you know what, I've got to do my thing, the likelihood is there's about 3 or 4 players that survive. He's going to fall out with everyone on the board, including, you know, the owners, Lange, V9, all these guys. He'll fall out with a lot of them. He'll fall out with Joe Lewis for doing that. And he'll fall out with players because he'll get rid of 20 of them. But that's the problem. My thing is, if a top manager's going to come in and fall out with everyone, including the players, because they're not being played or they're being sold, that means as a group, Tottenham Hotspur ain't good enough. This is why I keep saying, what is the point of Tottenham Hotspur? What's the point? I was on the phone to my best friend, Aguna, Arsenal fan. I said to him, yeah, there's people out there, myself included, they've been with women or men for 10 years, 15 years, yeah? And regardless of the relationship blossoming or breaking down, they've done more for you than your club. So when I look at the kids' mum, for instance, we're not together. We're not together at all. It broke up and probably the right decision to do. But if I broke up with her, why am I still staying with Tottenham? This is the thing I say in my head every day. Tottenham they give me more grief than anything in my life at the minute. It's either they don't get the right manager, they don't get the right players, they ain't got the right boardroom, the fans are divided. Drives me mad. I don't get as passionate about Tottenham as I used to. 10 years ago, Tottenham was life. Now I've just understood. Don't buy merchandise, don't buy the kit, don't go to the games, and only do it when it suits you, when you're happy. You know, if you was with a woman or you was with a man, whoever's listening, yeah, would you invest your time and your life and your money into somebody that you're not happy with? No, you wouldn't. So that's what I'm doing. I'm treating Tottenham like a woman I'm not happy with. I'm not giving her no money. I'm not giving her no clothes. I'm not giving her nothing. I'm not even giving you my time. I'm not even giving you any of my crisps, mate. None of my biscuits, nothing. All I'm going to do is watch it with my son. And I don't know where I would be if my son didn't support Tottenham or my son didn't like football. I do not know where I would be with Tottenham. I think the issue is with a lot of fans that ain't happy with their club is the fact that we love football first. So I love football first and foremost. You know, if I woke up in the morning and Tottenham are not a club anymore, it don't exist anymore, I probably wouldn't support another club, but I'd always watch football. I'd always watch football. Tottenham could disappear, Barcelona could disappear, Real Madrid could disappear. Mate, the whole Premier League could disappear. I love watching football. I love watching my son play football. I'll go to the park up the road, and if there's a match on, I'll sit there and watch that. But the problem is, because you're so, involved in football, you end up supporting a club, and that's what you do. You don't change club. I'm not going to sit there and go, actually, I'm going to change club. That's just madness. But it gets to the point where you think to yourself, what is this? This feels like being in a relationship with a woman that has got so much on you that if you leave her, you go in jail. That's what it feels like, man. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like being with a woman and she knows that I sold drugs, I've been doing money laundering, she knows that I've stolen off my family, she knows, I've stolen off the government. So if I leave her, and she's heartbroken, she's just going to go and tell the whole world what I'm doing, and I'll be in prison for 20 years, and I won't see my kids again. That's what it feels like. Because you can't just leave your club, especially if you love the sport, which is bonkers. Because when I said it to my kids, I was just like, don't you think it's mad that People find it easy to break up their relationship with somebody that they loved, somebody that they've been with, and somebody that might have hurt them. But when your football club does that, no, can't leave that. You have a blind faith to 11 men that change all the time, 25 men that change all the time. Players come and go. They get paid more money than you'll ever dream of, and then you've got a manager that's either right or wrong all the time. Ever since I was 8, it's been like the wrong manager, the wrong players, the wrong owners, or just the wrong everything. And right now, I feel like we're in the 90s when I used to support Tottenham. I remember when we used to have Alan Sugar and all them guys when we were going through administration. I didn't know what administration was at the time, but when we used to finish 13th with Teddy Sheringham, I was gassed. I was like, sweet. We didn't get relegated, man. We finished 13th. Come on, you Spurs. So in a weird way, this is why I alluded to in my video again. What is the point of Tottenham? Because when I was 8 years old, I promise you, we'd finish 12th and I'd be happy. When we used to finish like 8th, I remember finishing 8th with Martin Yo, I think it was, or it might have been Glenn Hoddle before that, and I was like, wow. I think we got into like into Toto Cup or something, and I was like, whoa, Tottenham are on stuff. Man United were in the Champions League, Arsenal in the Champions League, Liverpool winning the Champions League, but I'm like, mate, loved it in 8th. Now, I'll kick off with we finish 8th. But then again, this is what bodes down to what's the point of Tottenham? Because if Tottenham are saying they want to exist and just survive and stay in the Premier League, or just be in cups for jokes, keep Thomas Frank, keep Richarlison, keep, mate, whoever Bentancur, keep them all till they're 50. Because as long as we are in the Premier League and we're competing in the in the FA Cup, cool. But from what I'm seeing, Tottenham are just existing. Shout out to Aston Villa. Aston Villa are a team that are playing how you're supposed to. I said to my son again, the way Villa play reminds me of when we had Poch. Morgan Rogers is the next Dele Alli right now. Ollie Watkins banging goals like Harry Kane. You got guys like Buendia and all these guys. These are like your, collectively, they're like your Ericssons and all this stuff. Tielemans ain't as good as Dembele, but he's got that effect on their midfield. They got a camera. That could have been even Eric Dyer or Wanyama. Just like, they got a good mix. Emery is a top manager, but he understands. I might not have all the money. I might not have all of this, but there's no point going onto the grass and not giving it a go. So when he comes to Tottenham, he's rested Watkins. He's rested a couple of other people. Marlon goes up front, who would like to think he's probably a winger. But then they go 2-0 up. They can bring Watkins on. So they weren't even taking this game serious. If this was in the Premier League, we would have got beat 4-0. And then what? We're 4-0 down at half-time, and then Thomas Frank decides, actually, you know what? Let's just give the fans something. Why don't you give the fans something straight away, Thomas? It's not hard. You know what I mean? Half the fans left. So there are going to be loads of fans that are, wherever they are, on the M6, on the M25, on the tube, thinking, what a mess. And then you decide, actually, we're going to give them something to aspire to. Why don't you do that from the start? Because they won't leave. And if they don't leave, you've got more support. And if you've got more support and more energy, and you're playing the right way, what happens? We win games. It's really not hard. I feel like an idiot shouting at my thing because Thomas Frank ain't going to hear this, but I promise you, I wish he could. Like I always say to people, like, when players come over to fans, and like Paulinha needed to hear it from me, mate. He needed to go, Jake, what's your beef? I'll be like, mate, get me in the changing room, and I guarantee you I'll get you playing well, just by having a go at you. But again, Thomas Frank is a PE teacher that... can you imagine him getting angry? He ain't going to get angry. He's just a wimp. Sorry, he's just a wimp. Well, not a wimp. He's a simp. You can just imagine Thomas Frank here. His missus has probably got him under the thumb. She's probably in the shops right now spending all his money. And when he comes back and finds out that she spent 500 grand, oh, don't worry about it, darling. We'll do well next, we'll go again next weekend. I'm like, just get him out. But because Tottenham ain't got the mentality with the fans and the club and the players, he's going to get another go. And what we're going to do, we're going to play West Ham, and West Ham are going to drag us into a relegation scrap. I told you we'd lose to Bournemouth. I told you we'd lose to Aston Villa. I told you we wouldn't beat Sunderland. We're going to drop points to West Ham because that's their cup final. And then what we're going to do? I'll just give Thomas Frank more time. We can't give him more time. We need to get rid of someone now because we need to get rid of him now. And that's it. But then again, getting rid of him now causes further problems because then you've got to bring an interim, which results in covering for the owners because the owners are going to go, well, we've got an interim, we don't trust him with the money, so we're going to end up with Ryan Mason not spending any money, and then when it gets to April, we're going to get another manager in because Ryan Mason weren't good enough. Be proactive. Thomas Frank should have gone in December. If you'd got rid of him in December, brought an interim in for 2 weeks, and brought in a manager, whether it be an Areola or somebody, just to make sure that we're playing attractive football, he would have had a very quick January to go, there you go, here's the money, here's the money, here's the money, do what you need to do. But now we're stuck with a manager that we don't trust with the money, and if we sack him, we're going to not trust the next manager. So, who wins? ENIC. Again, ENIC out, Frank out, Tottenham, feel like Tottenham out. Jake 101 up top. Like, share, subscribe, comment, cool.